So Roman and CM Punk finally got it shaken last night. They're finally going to meet up and have their one-on-one encounter that everybody's kind of been waiting for the last couple of years, at least since CM Punk re-entered back into the WWE. Now, a lot of nuggets was dropped. A lot of nuggets was dropped in this promo by your tribal chief, more specifically, as far as the inner workings of how he got back into the WWE. But the tribal chief was great, man. CM Punk was great. I will say this. The thing that makes me upset about this whole thing is that every time someone has a great promo against CM Punk, the consensus, or it seems to really get people to the point of saying, "Oh my God, he had the better promo," and it's like, slow down. Let's pump the brakes. This is what CM Punk does. This is a part of what CM Punk, or what makes CM Punk great, and why he claims to be, or gives himself the moniker best in the world. It's not because of just his in-ring work. It's what he does and how he elevates the next guy across from him. Seriously, think about it. Really, really think about it. Who elevates their opponent more than CM Punk does? I'll wait. Name any of these top guys that you love the most. It ain't Cody. He don't elevate nobody. Damn sure ain't Cena. And it ain't Randy. And it's as sure as hell ain't Roman Reigns. Now, if you want to say he helped elevated Cody, Seth Rollins helped elevated Cody when he faced Cody 3 times and lost to Cody 3 times. That's elevation. What Roman has done, he hasn't elevated anyone. So CM Punk is great. His greatness is shown because of how he allows his opponents to be great. Every single opponent that he's across from, for some odd reason, if CM Punk isn't great, why is everyone across from him having their greatest moment? Whether it's a promo or whether it's a feud, whether it's a match, it's always got CM Punk involved in it. Why? Because that's what all-time greats do. That's what they do. They make others great. They don't just be great on their own. That's easy. The hard part is making others great. That's how you draw money. CM Punk is old school, man. He is old school. He's all about how you draw money, how you put asses in seats, how you get attention ultimately, how you get talked about. All of this goes back to how you put asses in seats. Cha-ching. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. So, with all that said, the two definitely had a great promo off against each other. Punk mentioned how Roman Reigns pretty much was a carbon copy of his long title run of over 400 days. He had Paul Heyman, the wise man, the whole nine. Yeah, he's got a point there. There is a blueprint to his title run and how that was ultimately used with Roman Reigns. But Roman had a lot of good points as well. One of those points was how he helped save the company. The company wouldn't be in the shape that it's in. The company wouldn't have all these major broadcasting deals, all these TV networks throwing them money hand over fist without the help of Roman Reigns and his epic bloodline story. Listen, he's not lying, man. He saved WWE during the pandemic, during the dark ages, where they had fucking video. They had videos of fans on the wall. The video, I forgot what they called it, but they had that era. I remember that. But you know what? It was exciting just to see people watching professional wrestling at the time because we were all living in the dark ages. It was the goddamn pandemic, for crying out loud. But Roman brought us through those dark ages with compelling television. The stuff he was doing was just unprecedented at the time. And he elevated his game to a whole nother level that none of us expected. And with that elevation brought dollars. So Roman definitely has a case when he says you wouldn't even be here because it wouldn't even be a company for you to come back to without my title run. Definitely has a point there. But what was also interesting is the points that he made about 10 years ago with the epic Colt Cabana podcast, where CM Punk mentioned the Shield, the formation of it, and how, the inner workings went during the time he was there. And it rubbed those guys the wrong way. Seth talks about it still to this day. Clearly, it still rubs Roman Reigns the wrong way about how he wanted to make him look strong. Make him look strong. He was talking about Vince. See, what thing that irks me through this whole CM Punk discussion, and I created a video separate of CM Punk as far as, his detractors and all that. I have a video for that, and that is tagged somewhere on this video. But the thing that makes me the most confused with how people go after CM Punk is how they just kind of just either make up storylines that involve him or they leave them completely out. And what I mean by that is the whole genesis of him leaving WWE to begin with was because of his beef with Vince McMahon, which he was right, by the way. Vince was a fucking stooge. Super douche was Vince McMahon. Those two didn't see eye to eye, and naturally he didn't see eye to eye with Triple H because Triple H was his goddamn son-in-law who was doing his bidding. That's why he left, because he was constantly being kept under the main event scene purposely to continuously artificially inflate John Cena, putting him in main event matches when he wasn't even the goddamn champion at the time. They had it. I remember it. I think CM Punk might have headlined like one main event pay-per-view that year when he was the champion for that whole time. How? And he think you supposed to, if that happened to you, you think you would just be there with a straight face? That kind of level of disrespect? No, eventually you're going to say, man, F this place. I'm out. I'm splitting. Look, man, Bruno Sammartino disappeared for eons, a bunch of years, because he didn't like Vince McMahon either. All right, this is much Punk's departure was much bigger than Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns' feelings. This is what keeps being missed throughout this whole thing, this whole ordeal, as far as Punk's departure from the company. They keep trying to make it about themselves and his feelings toward the company. It's no, he did not like Vince, and he was right about Vince. Let's be clear, okay? He was also right about Vince when it came to picking Roman Reigns and jamming him down our throats for like a decade. He was right. But that being said, Roman had a great showing. This is leaps and bounds better than he's ever been on the microphone. But I will say this, he was a little hypocritical when it came to the championship. He called that the secondary title. 3, 4, 5 years ago when he started the whole tribal chief thing, and he was shitting on Seth Rollins and telling Seth Rollins that A, you don't get any pops, and B, your belt is a secondary title. My title, Universal title, that's on SmackDown, Drew's belt, is the number one title. That's what Roman was saying a few years ago. Now all of a sudden, it's not the number one title. It's not the Raw is the number one show now. Like, it's not SmackDown. Like, come on, miss me with that. Make it make sense. You know what I'm saying? But they brought it together because of the history. The history is going to win regardless. But back to the championship. The championship belts, they talk about AEW as far as AEW having too many belts. Well, WWE has a belt issue. They have too many world championships. They have too many duplicates. Why do you have two sets of tag team belts? Why do you have if you're gonna why do you have two world championships? Just have one belt. Have one belt and one tag team titles. So you can emphasize the tag team, especially tag teams, so you can emphasize it more. It makes no sense to have two separate tag team divisions and two separate world championship divisions. Like, they don't get enough crap for that. That's effing stupid, if you ask me. Why is there two heavyweight championships? It's dumb. Consolidate the belts, bring them back together, merge them back together, and be done with this foolery because it's dumb. All right, you already get big checks. Netflix is giving you big checks. It don't matter. You need superstar power anyway. You don't have the superstars. You don't have enough superstars to move around these belts, to have all of these belts, these separate divisions. This doesn't make any sense. Anyway, back to the promo. It was all about the promo, man. They made WrestleMania interesting because it wasn't interesting. Nobody's interested to see Cody and Drew McIntyre. Now, I will say this. They did shit on Drew McIntyre a lot. But Drew's a heel, for one, and for two, you gotta expect that, right? Roman's always the tribal chief character is dismissive and demeaning. The whole God mode thing, that's what the tribal chief is all about. He demeans people. He puts them under him. Well, CM Punk just got out of the blood feud of the year with Drew McIntyre. Hello? It was the feud of the year. How fast do we forget? It was the feud of the year. And he said, he reminded us by saying, yo, yeah, you make fun of the bracelet, but we had to go to Hell in a Cell. The most dangerous match in this business. And I came out on top. Yeah, you had a bunch of little basic matches, but I went in Hell in a Cell with Drew. So I thought that was a point for Punk. I don't understand how that wasn't a point for Punk. But he said he put Drew in the dirt. He did. When you go in Hell in a Cell is the cap of a feud. That's you putting an end to the feud. So him putting him in the dirt is putting an end to the feud, correct? I'm confused. How did he disrespect Drew by stating the obvious fact? But Roman saying, I was beating Drew 3 years in a row. He's nothing. That's disrespectful. So I don't know how they got the same level of disrespect. You gotta decipher the level of disrespect. All disrespect ain't equal. But anyway, great promo. That was the most exciting thing in the entire night for Monday Night Raw. The crowd wasn't that great. Philadelphia, generally, in my opinion, is an overrated crowd as far as professional wrestling is concerned. It's hit and miss. I wouldn't put them in front of Chicago, like a Chicago wrestling crowd. Nah. I think Chicago might be maybe the best as far as in the States, in the United States. So, yeah, man. Great promo. I'm definitely excited to see Punk and Roman get to it. And what we do know is that these two can have great promos leading all the way up until WrestleMania ultimately. Now, will they shake things up on the road to WrestleMania? Who knows? But right now, as it stands, the WWE, whether they stumble into it or not, definitely has their number one match, their main event for night two, and that's Roman Reigns versus CM Punk.